Welcome to the Kellogg Biological Station, Exploring with Scientists. Do birds avoid noisy habitats? In this part 2, we're going to explore some of the scientific interests that got me to where I am today, while also talking about what are some of the places that I've been able to visit because of my work, including what animals I've studied and what type of ecosystems. My name is Elizeth, and I am a PhD student at Michigan State University. My first language is Spanish, which is why if you see words in blue, that's the Spanish translation. This map shows all the places that I've been able to go because of my work, including Spain, in the US, Michigan, Idaho, and California a little bit, only for a few days. So I'm not going to focus on that one, and Mozambique. Now I'm going to go place by place, and I'm going to show you what type of habitat I've worked in those places, and also what type of species I've studied. So everything started, or like my career started in Spain. That's where I also did my bachelor's degree. And at first I didn't really know what type of scientist I wanted to be. So I kind of did a little bit of everything, and I was interested in everything, all the questions, all the systems, all the animals, all the plants. But because I really kind of like loved marine biology, I kind of started working with corals in the Mediterranean. I did this like summer internship, and then I got the chance to go to the Pyrenees and study some fish in the rivers. But then I was also able to do some microorganism work. I have worked a ton with birds in Spain, and also studied some plants. Now, the bottom left picture shows that like Mediterranean sea that I was talking about, but to the right, you can see that, so that's the Mediterranean forest, and this type of forest is very different than the forest you may observe in Michigan. It's a kind of like a dry-ish forest, and it smells really good because it has a lot of wild thyme and lavender, and everything is pocky. I feel like in Michigan, there's so many plants, like you have poison ivy that is poisonous, and here we don't have that, but the plants are really hard and dry, and yeah, it's just a very different habitat. Then after I did a little bit of everything in Spain, I finished my work in Spain working with birds, and I discovered that I loved working with birds. That's what got me, I would say, into all of this. So after that, I started looking for jobs working with them, with birds, and that's how I ended up in Idaho. And not only working there, but also doing my master's degree. In Idaho, I was able to study a little bit of plants, bats, insects, but again, mostly birds. The habitat that I was working in mostly was the sagebrush steppe, and that is the bottom right picture. This is a type of habitat that is very, very dry. It's kind of like a high altitude desert. And as you can see, it's very shrubby. And one of the difference between, for example, this type of dry habitat and the Mediterranean one is that in this one, the temperature is very variable, or I guess it can get really, really cold, and then it can get really, really hot. So even though it's a desert, I promise that it's been really cold there. It snows, it freezes, but it's really beautiful, and it's surrounded by the mountains, and then the shrub that you can observe smells really good. It's sagebrush, that's why it's called the sagebrush steppe, and I really love it there. While I was working mostly with birds and some work with insects, as you can see on the picture to the right, where I'm collecting insects for my master's degree, my lab, the Barber Sensory Ecology Lab, also studied evolution and bat and insect interactions. So I personally didn't do any work with bats, but because other people in the lab were, I got the chance to observe and also help them sometimes with their bat work. And that's why I got kind of like close to this bat work and this like love for bats. I think they're amazing, and I think they're really, really pretty and smart. And I'm just so happy that I was able to observe all these experiments and all this work. Now, because I was in Idaho and my advisor at the time studied bat insect interactions, he also did it all over the world, not only in Idaho. And he took me to one of his study sites in Mozambique for a few days, where I was able to help them to help him with some of the experiments. This was an amazing opportunity because not only I was doing work that I wasn't used to, like working during the day, working with birds, this was all working during the night, and working with bats and insects. I got the chance to see so many cool species, not just insects, but other vertebrates like elephants. And this was like a life-changing experience for me. Mozambique was really beautiful. And in this, I haven't included a picture of the habitat since I couldn't pick one. There were so many different habitats, some of them like more tropical or like rainforest, some of them drier, more like a savanna. In this small or like small-ish area, you get to see, yeah, so many ecosystems. So that's why I couldn't choose one. And finally, here we are in Michigan, where I'm studying mostly plants, but also a little bit of insects. It's just a teeny bit of birds. At the bottom left picture, you can observe kind of like an abandoned field or like an agricultural field here in Michigan. This is probably going to look more familiar, right? That agricultural field and then surrounded by a lot of forest. And to the right, I'm in a picture where I'm helping with a study researching tomatoes and insects. I'm holding like a huge caterpillar. And this ecosystem looks very different. This work looks very different. But you'll see by the end of the series how I got to do this from like a more kind of like bird background. But I wanted to mention all of this because for me, birds, that's when everything started. For me, discovering bird research was everything. And that's when I became so passionate about what I was doing. And that's not what I thought was going to happen. I thought I was going to do marine biology and maybe stay in the Mediterranean. But this shows that you never know what species or what animal or what ecosystem is going to be the one that is going to have you like hooked to science. And you never know what you're going to end up studying. But as you can see, there are a lot of possibilities.